Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another week of a podcast. This time with one less Oscar. He's doing Oscar things, like being like a sick asshole. So
Eating
instead,
wieners and that kind of stuff.
to be fair, I'll recount it in a sec. But I have no sympathy for Oscar. But here, as always, we got Joey, and now we've got Dylan Hunt of Team ARG, and also of Gamers Lair.
Hey, I'm also a scrub. I've written articles. Come on.
That is true. You did more than one article, right? You did a couple?
I think I did 3 articles for Caster Chronicles for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of them's on the homepage, and then you guys can find the rest on tcswibs.com. But yeah, so I'm actually pretty excited for the new caster set. I was pitching it around and stuff and get people excited.
Yeah, it seemed like you got pretty hyped lately.
Yeah.
You got back into it.
So today we're gonna, well, actually, before we get into that, see, I've been so used to Oscar having to do all the work. It's been so nice. I haven't done this in a while, but
and I ain't doing it.
As always, this is brought to you guys by Happy Little Hug Factory. They have forcible singles and sealed product, and I don't know when. I think they already did, or soon they'll be having pre-orders up for the next set. I totally am blanking on whether they do or not, but
You're
they have,
totally prepared for this.
Yeah, they have a forcible Buylist as well if you guys have singles you want to offload. And yeah, so make sure if you want to check them out, click the link in the description below. It helps them and us out if you go through that link. We did a really awesome thing with them last week where they let us have a Vin Golf 3 box where we opened it on a video for you guys, and we're giving it away. We'll find that out tomorrow during the Forcible News. I'll announce the winner. And they had them on sale on their website. I think that lasted all of it, like an hour or 2 hours, and they sold out. He got more product in, and then they sold out within like 2 or 3 hours. It was pretty great to watch. But yeah, so that was pretty awesome. And also, if big thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/tcgscrubs. We'll be having a mini podcast on there, same time as this podcast goes live, as always. And if someone sends us some decks, we'll do some deck analyses each week on there as well. So, yeah.
You know, I should start sending you guys my decks.
You should, and it could literally just be a riff session of Oscar and I just ripping into your deck and stuff.
No, that's the opposite. It's supposed to be like, oh my gosh, wow, this list is amazing.
Rip on Joey Fridays. Yeah. You'd have to be like super like roundabout, like give it to one of our patrons and ask them to pretend it's their list. And then you're like, haha, it was my list all along. And Joey takes that unlisted video and shares it to Ryan, like, look what they did, Ryan. But
pretty funny.
I don't feel. Oscar literally had 3 different instances of us telling him, like, hey, Oscar, you should do this. Like, the last instance was he was over here over the weekend, and I was, the night before, he stayed the night, and before we went to bed, I was like, you should take Mucinex, just preemptively. He's like, nah, I'm good. Wakes up, first thing he's like, yeah, no, I got a lot of mucus, this is crazy. I can't do the podcast. I was like, oh my God. So imagine that, but that happened about 3 times, that exact scenario of him like being like, no, I'm good, and then not good that exact next day. So I have like no sympathy for but yeah, so today we're going to be going over the top 8 list in Singapore. That'll probably go over pretty quick because it wasn't quite as diverse deck list wise as the last one, but still some interesting stuff. And then we're going to have an epic stories discussion, including our favorite ruler combos, at least at this point in time. So yeah, we'll jump into the Singapore top 8. And so we have the top 8 lists, and they aren't in order that I'm aware of.
They're in 8th through 1st for mine. Like 8th place, 7th place, 6th place.
Like it goes from last to first?
Yeah.
I'll take
At least
Joey's.
I have it pulled up on my phone that way.
Wait, no, it goes 1st to 8th place, so...
Well, yeah, but I like went retroactively went back to 8th place.
Okay.
So I figured 8th to 1st would be more interesting than... Here's the 1st place list, guys, and here's the 8th place list.
And In case you don't
Thank you,
have
Colin.
it, Dylan or Joey, there's that link for that.
No, I really appreciate that phone buzz.
Oh. And for any of you guys watching, we should have the top 8 on our website already by now on tgscrubs.com. Just click on top 8 season 5 and it'll be Singapore. If not, it's because Oscar's like, oh, I'm sick, cough, cough, let me go play Apex Legends. So we'll go ahead and start with 8th place, which was Hanzo list. And
Is it the Faith and Hanzo?
yes, Faith and
Yeah.
Hanzo. So,
Wow.
was you guys see anything interesting off the bat?
Well, he's running 3 Lorates and 3 statues, which is pretty interesting. Also, the Dark Elf was kind of
Motion.
interesting as well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a black, green, red kind of deal? Or just black,
Three-
green, and then...
No, there's 3 colors because you got March of the Dead and Look of Corruption.
Like, I see where he's going with this, but I'm just kind of confused by why he would do like 3 Lorates. Seems like he's already invested, why would he only do 3 kind of thing?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like, you could drop anything. You could drop a dark
Yeah.
Margin Dark Elf.
Like a
or
Loco
another
Corruption or
one.
something would be okay too. Or Sword of the New Moon, I doubt he's triggering all of them, so...
And
It's really interesting.
It's interesting. Joan d'Arc is really good for, like, if you can throw that into a green deck, that's gonna do you a lot of good, like... That's almost worth it alone.
what are your thoughts on running 4 Faith and Darknesses with 12 1-cost Resonators in the deck?
that's
you're
kinda-
always
that's
gonna
kinda-
hit. I mean,
Do you
you're
think
not whiffing, right? I mean,
2 for 1 is still worth?
it's better than whiffing. That's all I'll say. Obviously, he wants the Joan because that's the goal
Yeah.
every time. But the other cards are just there so you don't whiff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously better to get 2 for 2. He's probably not happy when he gets a 2 for 1, but
Is the rune deck pretty
is 16?
standard?
16? What?
Is the rune deck pretty standard?
Well, let's see here. Yeah, he's got a Sealing
Yeah,
Scroll,
it's-
Yokai Festival, Whirlwind. Whirlwind's interesting because that's one of the ones that people can attack or don't attack, so makes sense given he's going to want to protect it from the Master Rune without having to use his build and stuff like that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And Fuma Shuriken's really good because it stops blockers as well as acting as removal.
The heck is Sand Awakening?
That's the red one. You pay 1 less with your rune area, and it gives +2/+6, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I remember now.
That's
So it's
the-
a 1 void cost buff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's a red, it gets an extra buff, but he's obviously not playing. Well, I guess he's got the Majin Dark Elf, but I doubt he's going to be targeting many red cards with that, given that I think his only red card in the deck.
Yeah, I think the Dark Elves are pretty much there just to hit off of the Faith and
The Null
Darkness.
Magic Stone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he does
makes
have Null
sense.
Magic Stone.
Yeah, he's got the Null Magic, so he can get the swiftness off of it.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. And
and then he can use the thing if he gets it later in the game. He can use the Awakening to make it really strong. So,
and side deck's got his table flips, his fair spells, his rune story. Basically, a lot of counter Speaking Stone to give another thing with barriers, and also to help, I assume, with the rune stories he would side in, and Spiderwebs and Black Tear. So, with the exception of Spider's Web, that's all just like a counter or offensive type of.
well, it's
stuff.
really interesting because a lot of the good cards like Rune Story that the deck would run inherently in this version, he just took them out and he put them in the sideboard. So, I guess he's just trying to mind game people when they think he doesn't run them. He puts them in and then kind of makes them walk all over themselves. So it's kind of like a smokescreen. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I guess it worked all right. He got 8th.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I question a bunch of these, but obviously I think a bunch of them work. Like I said, the Rune Story, you'd be playing around it the whole game to find out he doesn't play it, and then game 2, you don't play around it. Wow, I drew it because he sided it in. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
it's very interesting. Like,
I could see it taking a lot of people off guard just because when you see Hanzo, you're not thinking he's gonna play a Majin Dark Elf and swing at you. So
And then Look of Corruption you while he's.
Is he doing anything with the Stone from the Dark Castle? Like,
yeah, he
lot
has
of
the Sword of New Moon, so I think it has to take 2 counters to kill a 4 cost or less.
yeah.
That said, I can't see him triggering all of them, so it seems like 4 is a lot, but
Yeah, he probably just wants it on 1. Like,
Yeah.
if he hits it once, I mean, pretty much. You only
Alright.
remove one mystery counter. Remove 8 mystery counters from J reload.
That's alright. It's alright.
Yeah.
He's not likely to see the stone early in the game, though.
Exactly.
So, but it's cool. Obviously, it worked well enough.
So, it's going on to 7th place. We got our Brunhild deck. And so, this guy, he went balls. He went 41 cards.
They like mixing colors so much in Singapore, apparently.
Do they? Yeah, I get.
Well, he's got 4 Fair Spell in his deck, so I'm just gonna assume that there's lots of color mixing going on. Yeah, 3 Rachel, 4 Fair Spell. It looks like he just basically decided it was mostly a green deck, and then also was like, hey, I can also play yellow.
Yeah, that's very
Which is, I guess he's taking advantage of the fact that Rachel's a human.
Oh, that's true.
Now you can play that.
He's got Rachel and Viola, and if I recall, they're both humans, so that's an interesting choice.
Is Viola? I thought Viola was like a Dragonoid or something.
She might.
She might
Might
be.
be a Viola.
There's a lot of
Dragon
slashes
slash.
during that.
Jupiter
that
is a
time
human,
period.
though, so that's a pretty,
No,
I think
she's-
he's
Jupiter's
anyway.
great.
She-
I like that they're running Jupiter.
Yeah, she's a Dragonoid / historical.
Also running Crippling Light.
Yeah, that's a nice choice. Crippling
Yeah.
Light deals a lot of damage in this format, especially because they're expecting you to waste your Goddard, or not your Goddard, your Master Rune.
Master Rune.
Yeah.
Which they do run the Master Rune as well, Odin's Judgment. So they're like, all right, Odin's Judgment. All right, now I can finally flood the field with all these cards I'm gonna hang on, and then you can just do surprise Crippling Light that maybe I drew because I only run one of. But it's nice to
Yeah,
have in
like
there.
it really plays around people who think they've avoided the board wipe, and you play another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
I think
statues are really
Jupiter's a
cool.
human.
Yeah.
He is not a human, so that's
Oh, right.
I would have really liked. Yeah, he's just 7 Lumiere
Seven
Warlock.
Mage.
No,
He's a
Historical.
Yeah,
I just remembered that it came from the historical deck. Yeah. So.
I mean, it's still a really good card. It just
yeah.
I thought he could bring it back with his ruler. So like, man, that's such good value.
Well, does he? Laura at 7.
It's still a weird list though. Like he's got the McKays in there still, the Jinzo statues, the Koga.
Yeah, the Koga's a little. I mean,
He's
and
got
he
a,
went balls
It's a
deep with
different
3 Winds of Salvation too.
he's got a lot of like 3, 2, and 1 of cards. So it's this really interesting, diverse card list. Where usually you
It's
see
just
4,
so
4, 4,
weird
4,
how
3, 3.
he's leaning on the green so heavily, and he's barely got any yellow in there. It's just real weird.
yeah, it seems like you could just get screwed on your stone pulling. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
He's got speaking.
You've got
Stone.
Blade of Spades, Spear of the Valkyries, Messenger of the Sun. Like, there's a lot of stuff here that it's just like you just get really screwed over.
I do like the Magic Stone of Omniscience though for the
Yeah.
playing the runes with the different colors. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that stone would see more play around people. So yeah, I do like seeing that.
I think the big problem is that you'd have to play it instead of another special stone, and with all the Rhea stuff, you're giving up on like the Panda stones or giving up on like Speaking Stones or something like that. So it's got less versatility. And then even in this cluster, you got the ability for your humans not to be canceled.
Yeah.
Or you've got the ability to play a rune with any color when you're probably playing mostly yellow anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like people haven't been experimenting that much with like really crazy like dual color stuff. Like this and the 8th place list are like really. It's just I would feel so nervous about not having the right colors coming up. Just seems like you could.
Joy
just
gets nervous
lose
easily, though.
games really easily. Yeah. Just saying, like there's a lot of stuff where it makes sense. Like, you know, Speaking Stones and having Ruin Story in your deck makes a lot of sense. The whole null Magic Stone, you know, in the last deck makes a lot of sense. Like, there's reasons to play that red black in your deck. This one just seems like none of those colors like share stone. So it just seems like it's very risky.
Yeah. So moving on to 6th place, we got a Gil list, and it's following that pattern.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
This one looks really standard.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much, at least on glance, a copy of
He
what
took
we went over last week.
pretty hilarious way of doing the 19 copies that win and the 1 dark to tutor it in. So he's very set on not seeing that Darkstone and tutoring it in.
Yeah, if you turn 1 that Darkstone, then you're very sad. I mean, you could still use it for the inheritance, but
I'm kind of curious why he didn't run any special stones and he just ran 19 wind magic stones, but
it's because it's what they did on the last GP, so it's probably just copy paste.
It's not like you need 19 wind magic stones.
There's no benefit from basic wins that I can think of anyway. So it's kind of interesting that he decided.
Does the search only grab basic magic stones?
It does, but he's got 9. Like even if you're at 10 copies of one,
yeah.
6 of the other. Yeah, like he's got options still, right?
Yeah, he could run like 15 wind magic stones, 4 speaking stones, and then 1 darkness magic stone. And like it's the same idea, except now 4 of your stones magically have.
Or he could also run the one that you can sack it to get back a. I'm trying to think of what the type is. The auras? Yeah, the aura cards.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Like he's got a lot of options. Does run Wind of Salvation, but he's not playing any of those kinds of stones, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And besides 2 more, so yeah, he could get a lot of use out of that if he did that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty standard. There's nothing really that throws me apart here. He's got Black Tears and Evil Elemental Uprising, which is kind of weird with only the 1 Darkness Stone that he has to tutor out, but.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's interesting that, like, you know, I saw the other lists were running the. Oh no, yeah, he is running the big kill. It's
I'm like it works. Like I'm not going to argue with the list.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously 1 got him to 6th, and 2 it's a solid list. It just the stones really were interesting to me.
It seems it seems interesting if you're gonna run those, like, you know, Black Tears and Ruin Story. Like, why not just put your speaking stones in? You really need 4 of them.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so
and the next one is Brunhild again.
Yep, and I looked. His name is I copy. I don't know the name. Ron Gio's, and then Ron Gio's list is.
And yes,
is
definitely is a copy of the other one.
Yeah, Brunhild.
It looks like he's actually playing Blade of Faith. Whereas I don't believe the other list was.
No, it did. The other one ran 4 Blade of Faith.
Yeah, it was at the very top. I think.
Okay. Yeah, he wrote it halfway down, and the other guy wrote it at the top. So.
Yeah. He's running 1 more messenger.
Village of Spirited
That's
Way.
The only thing I can see.
Right?
He's running Protection of the Angels instead.
Only 1 Protection of the Angels.
They're both running 1 protection. He just ran an extra card. He's literally 42, the other one's 41.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no,
he just like, hey, it draws, I might as well just play an extra card.
Crippling Light. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks pretty much
identical. Similar. He just threw an extra copy of the
messenger.
Yeah.
Did the yep, even the sideboard's same. Okay, so next list is
it's the aptly named GP Malaysia. He named his deck after the GP.
Oh. Not bad.
It looks pretty standard for Keurig.
Yeah.
4 Pathway Card, 4 of pretty much everything. 3, the Flaming Fist. Which one is Scalding Breath again?
I think it's the one that deals like 700 damage.
Yeah, it is.
Do they normally run Power Spike?
No. I don't think
he's got that one up Power Spike in there.
And also he's got 3 Wilsers. Nice.
I think that's what do they normally run 2 or?
Yeah. I feel like 3 is not standard.
3's not bad though. Like you want to see it, right? If they're not playing in green, you basically clap them. So
Power Spike is a 1200 damage one. I don't know. Power Spike or what's the other one is what Majin? There's like a Majin's Madness.
I think that one's better though, isn't it?
They're very similar, but yeah, there's one that's better.
I guess you can't grab. You can grab Power Spikes. It's a Battle Arts.
It's interesting that he sides the martial arts tournament instead of maining it.
Yeah.
I'm not really quite sure why. I know you could decide that you have the advantage in terms of strength, but I feel like you decide out of it versus heading into it.
Ooh, and he's got Neo Berserk Dragon.
Is it in the side deck? Or?
Yeah, this is weird side choices. That's all I can say. These are a lot of main deck cards that he just decided to sideboard instead, like the 3 Play Dead, for example.
Oh,
yeah, the Play Dead, because I feel like Play Dead's always useful.
His sideboard's just like, hey, these are all main deck cards I didn't have room for because I'm running exactly 40, so I'll just side them instead.
I feel like
I feel like Keurig you can get away with going over 40 because of his search function. You can
yeah,
burn through
but he's
quick.
also like a lot of the cards he's put in here are the cards you would search with his ability. So I'm just kind of questioning why they're in the sideboard instead.
Well, so
like
I say you could
that's fine.
You can
Neo
take
Berserk
those
is
Play
fine.
Deads and plop them in there at minimum,
Oh,
Yeah,
without taking anything out. Like that's just a minimum, I think. But
like I think siding Ultra Dragon is the only one I actually like agree with because you don't really want to main him because there's a lot of matchups where he just loses you cards for no reason.
yeah, I agree. His barrier is nice. It'd be nice if he had a static barrier against everything, though.
I'd argue Neo Berserk is definitely a main board card and not a sideboard, but
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's.
it's
Interesting.
just such a weird sideboard card. Yeah.
I'd be curious. Maybe he plays it slightly different, and it just his play style doesn't suit that. But I'd be curious to.
It
have
might
seen
also
it.
be a regional thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Third
we got
place.
another guild list, it looks like.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume this is the same. We got our 19 and 1. We got our.
He techs a water stone instead of a dark stone.
Oh, good for him.
So he is actually running a different list, obviously, because he can't play any darks. So.
Yeah, he's got one and only inside of his deck.
He's got 2 spinning Aqua Souls.
Which is nice, because Gil can get a lot of use out of spinning Aqua Soul for sure.
Okay, so he's just got the fake out rune deck. Okay.
And he's got Ultra Awakening just in case he plays against Ryan.
Always
What
be
is
prepared.
one and only?
It's
The one and only is you destroy all cards that share the same name other than Magic Stones.
Yep.
So it's good for like tokens or decks that play lots of the same cards. You'll see it a lot in Ayu because it's made for her, but
Yeah, does it work against Xion? I forget the wording of it. Would it work against 3 Xions?
I believe it destroys. So I
Okay.
don't believe it does work against her, although technically it does. But
Like, technically it would hit her, but just nothing happens.
if they didn't have the immunity, it would kill them all. But
yeah. I just couldn't remember if one and only destroyed or if some other function, but...
It's funny in IU if you use the IU resonator to copy their ruler, because then you can use one and only to destroy their ruler.
Ooh.
But obviously can't do that in Gil, and he obviously doesn't run the IU, so...
Okay, so is the spinning Aqua Soul better than running like the Inherit of the Stars? The Gil Resonator?
He's got Kiara, and it's basically the same thing. Like, there's mana production and the Gil's slightly stronger, but overall it's more consistent just to have Kiara instead, right?
Right.
Yeah. Alright, well...
I'd say Aquasil probably is better just because you get more flexibility in what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, Aquacell.
Whereas Gil is, again, it has slight advantages over Kiara, but it's more or less the same card.
That's a good point.
I think the barrier is probably the biggest thing because Gil is actual barrier and Kiara has barrier chant, but in most matchups that's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whoa.
He's running a lot of Destruction of the Portal, as in one copy, but good sideboard, seems like. Wait a minute. He's running 3 Gils and siding one, that's kind of weird.
Well, sometimes, you need more
When
Gil.
your deck that can recycle the Gil like 100 times, you think you'd want to see it early in your game so you can keep using it, but... Ooh, this is spicy. We got a Lucifer deck in second place.
Yeah, and that's what I went to the site and saw this Lucifer, and I saw they have really good handwriting, whoever did this. I was like, whoa, you use all capital letters? That's commitment, jeez.
So, keeping with the theme of weird decks, this one's a red Dark Lucifer, which seems very aggressive with the Mach and Dark Elves. 3 life Severing Blade, 3 life deck Struggle, 2 main deck Black Tears, that's also kind of impressive.
Yeah,
Only 1 Belial. This is a very, very aggressive black deck.
Main deck's Evil Elemental Uprising, just in case.
Yeah,
That's-
like he's maining a lot of cards that I think kind of help him against the control matchups, just so he can punch them a lot harder.
Yeah, because I mean, Evo Elemental or Uprising can technically come in handy against a lot of decks. It's just not as useful in all of the decks. But if you're trying to be like super like in their face, then it's useful in all decks technically. It's
Yeah, and it looks like there's a lot of guild decks, so it probably helped him there too.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's got obviously lots of discard, or you know, enough discard. Main deck's Black
also
Tears.
running-
Interesting.
Yeah, he's also running
Two
this-
copies. That's the weirder part, because
Yeah.
I'd understand one because you'd search it with your runes, but let's see. Does he even run? Yeah, he does run Demon Division, so he can search it. It just he obviously had it for aggro decks, or I guess tokens. I'm not really sure why he'd run two in the main, but
He's got his Ultra Dragon in the side deck. He's got
he's got three
basically
Belials.
most of his side deck is just more copies of what's in his main deck, which is pretty cool. With the exception of Glint of Insight.
Yeah, that and Disgrace Knight's also a weird sideboard because I can't think of any matchup you'd want an extra to Disgrace Knight versus like any other card. But
Yeah.
Right. It's not really like a sideboard. It's just like he's just trying to change the ratio of his deck. It seems like.
yeah,
Not really...
well, a lot of these I'd argue do make sense. Like Belial is a one of in his deck, but there are a lot of decks where you need more than one, like the really long game stuff. So that makes a lot of sense. Same thing with more Black Tears. If you're in a matchup where it makes sense, you want to size as many as possible.
Yeah.
I guess so.
He's
seems
apparently
like
really
so
into the Black
much
Tears train. He mains two and sides two, so
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'm really curious to what he was siding it for.
yeah. Like, oh, I'm gonna need 2 more Black Tears. I guess if you just need the ratio up.
He's scared of that Shimimi train.
Or either that, or he's like, no, Fair's making his comeback in this tournament. All right, that's pretty cool though. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and of course the first place is Brunhild, which the deck name is I'm copying everyone, I think is what he wrote. I can't really read the word that he wrote in the middle there.
Well, they speak 2 languages, so good for them.
Yeah, well, he did write it in a foreign language after that, but
it's not bad.
so this seems again like the similar list,
The
but he's
green
running
one.
a lot of. He's running the 2 messenger in the main deck, putting him at 41. I think this is the same as the other deck we just saw.
Yeah, I think so.
Did the other deck have Child's Chastising in the side deck?
I think so.
Okay. That's the only thing I
Let's
could
see.
think of that would
Yeah,
be
that's-
different.
Yep.
I think so.
It
Did they?
also ran that.
Oh, I missed that. It's got Yokai Festival. It's got.
Oh, actually, I think it ran a Rachel instead. Yeah, no, they both sided Rachel. I don't know. Yeah, it's something different that he. This protection, I don't think was sided either in the other one.
Man,
Yeah,
and out of
that's
all of
curious.
them, none of them could figure out how to trim out one card.
No, the one I think like the 8th place one. Funny enough, was the one that was exactly 40 cards.
Was it?
It's
Okay,
only
maybe
damage that one
that's
is.
what makes or breaks it. Is that what?
Apparently, that extra messenger is what makes the difference. So
I guess if it's a messenger, then I would agree. That probably makes a difference.
So I have a question. Do you guys think that the naughty child's chastising is better than miscalculation? Like, is the gain life equal to its attack more?
Depends on
I
the
think
deck.
the
Useful
effect
for
is
you?
definitely better, but I think the amount of scenarios you actually use it isn't as high because it costs 2 mana.
And at least,
Yeah.
yeah, and naughty child like
I think it's mostly just for Keurig, and I think it's already a matchup that you're winning at that point.
It's a good
yeah,
point.
it's just.
But
been-
it is a good card. It just how many times do you have the 2 mana open as well as being able to make your plays, right?
Mhm.
1 mana's a lot easier. 2 mana's like
Yeah, that's why I'm just curious. Like they're going over naughty childs instead of miscalculation. Very
yeah,
interesting
it's
choice there.
situational, but yeah, I personally would prefer miscalcs, but yeah.
Yeah, same here. Like I would usually think that. I'm just curious what their what their thought process is, and like if maybe their thought process is like, well, it kills one attacker and then it sets me up to kind of ignore another attack since you already gained the life from one of their attacks. So it's kind of almost like a double buffer.
Yeah, but if you could use that one will, I feel like, for more advancing strategies. So instead of just having a buffer next turn, you have an advantage next turn, which I feel like is the better way to go. Like if you miscount,
miscount's a really easy card to play because you can do like a 4-cost play on turn 5, and then if they try and fight back, you're like, no, I'm going to miscalc it. So
exactly,
you got a lot of flexibility with the 2-mana one. I would argue the effect is a lot better, but it's having an actual play to back it up and then follow it up with a Naughty Child is a lot harder because Brunhild is super, super heavy on tempo. So,
well, and Naughty Child also hurts more if they fair spell it, for example, too.
Yeah, fair spell, or as we saw in one of the other decks, the one that gives Barry the Whirlwind technique, stuff like that is really hurtful when you put 2 mana into the effect, right?
Yeah, because then you lose out on will advantage. If they fair spell your miscalc, you guys basically it's a wash. You both lost a card, you both lost 1 will, and you go from there. But Naughty Child, not only did you spend 2 more will, but now that you capped out on will because you spent 1 more than you would have otherwise, so now you can't even have a counter of like, okay, well instead I'll Protection of the Angel this and then block, or I'll use another miscalc, or I'll pay 1 and gain 800 life and draw a card, or something. There's a lot of things you can do with 1 will in this current format, especially in white, I feel like. But I mean, I could be wrong. Obviously everyone's running it, so it's probably better, but that's just,
I mean, some of them running more than other. It's just
Yeah, other lists are running like miscalculations too. Like I think I just I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. Like it's an interesting choice.
All the lists are pretty interesting. I'm just kind of floored with some of the choices they made because the decks would have a really good idea and then they'll have this one of random bad idea in there, and I'll be like, well, I mean, I guess if all your other ideas are good, you can kind of get away with having 1 or 2 bad cards in there.
Yeah, it's the it's like the logical fallacy of like, if someone tells you 3 things and 2 are true, doesn't mean the last one's true. If someone runs a winning deck and they run 5 good cards, doesn't mean the 6th card is good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just the attitude in Malaysia is more like Japan, where they're just more for fun than it is competitive. But it's still good decks. Like they definitely did a good job. It just kind of odd with some of the very specific one-of choices they made.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a lot
Crippling
more.
Light, though, I did really like the Crippling Light. That was a great one of, like, just couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so that was...
But then he plays against the Pandora deck, and it all goes downhill.
Man, that top 8 Pandora list, it's coming.
What is that? I don't know why I'm bad at math. Hanzo, Brunhild, Gil, Keurig, Lucifer. So five rulers in top 8. That's not bad.
Then
I think this is probably the most diverse meta game we've had in the last little while.
Since LEL, yeah.
I think ever since Strangers came out, it's been pretty diverse.
It's actually almost identical to LEL, because LEL wasn't just like, oh, look at this diverse, all these cool rulers you could play. It was also of like, look at these things, and then a top 8 would come out and you'd be like, oh, weird, that one? Oh, weird, that's in the top 4? And so we're having the same thing, like, oh, cool, Lucifer's in the top 4. We just had that. Oh, Pandas are in the top 4. Oh,
Shayla.
Brunhild is. Hanzo is now. Shayla made a top 8. Like, it's all these themes are creeping out, and I feel like we haven't seen the last of it. We'll probably see at least. I feel like we'll see at least one forgotten Rhea ruler pop up again before rotation happens. But as long as
Seal come.
Huh?
When's Seal gonna get her top, huh?
Whatever.
Yeah. It's funny. I genuinely keep forgetting that that's a ruler. That's like, you mentioned that, I was like, Seal, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I never. It's such a weird ruler.
You were so like shocked that like they would print like something like, oh, you're the what? This is so strong.
Technically
it
was
strong, but Lorite destroys the deck to its core. Like literally, even one Lorite just thrown in, like some of these other decks are doing. Like, oh, I'm Brunhild. Hey, I've got Lorite in my deck. You lose.
Yeah, it's not like the new rulers where if you Lorite Lucifer's Enter effect, he's still got his rune deck and stuff like that, and you still, you can do stuff with him. Seal, if you Lorite Seal one flips over, you got nothing going into this, and plus the mechanics kind of wonky, but it was close. Seal was very close to being a broken thing in my opinion, or not broken, but really strong.
Seal's got a lot of good effects, but
good
there's just
potential.
not really a place for.
Yeah. I don't think I was
any part of
unfounded
Seal, really.
in my criticism. I
Yeah.
just didn't predict how bad it was countered. It's kind of like Fair right now. Fair is still a stupid deck. That is,
He just got nothing to help him.
Yeah, and stuff counters.
The difference between Fair and Seal is that Fair actually has a lot going for him, but he just doesn't have enough elves, like low-cost ones, to actually make his front side work for him. So,
yeah.
Whereas Seal's like, man, if I could flip and actually resolve these abilities, I might win.
Yeah.
Which is a lot different when you're comparing cards. Like, hey, I might win to, hey, I'm just missing this one piece and I win.
Yeah, no.
Poor Fair. He had his time. He's fine.
And
no.
It's funny because Seal's locked in with Lorite, so Seal's literally never going to have a format where it is going to be able to shine ever.
Yeah, well, Fair is pretty close. He had only one format where he could actually be played, and then they printed the Dragon. Yeah, the Dragon. Well, not even Sherry, just the Dragonoid itself, like the powerless Dragonoid.
Yeah, and then black tiers on top of that.
Yeah, they
That's
just really
true.
didn't like Fair. Is I think what they kind of told us. With
Which is
testing
fair.
set.
Which was always my complaint of, like, they made all these necessary counters to rulers, but they made them generic, so they also countered every other ruler. It's like, oh, it's cool, powerless. Good.
Like, even looking at the sideboards from, like, this set, if you notice, like, 90% of the cards are stories. So, it just kind of shows you how, like, overpowered the stories themselves were versus even just Sherry. Like, Evil Elemental Uprising, Scarlet's Agony, Black Tears, like, all of these cards are story cards just coincidentally, right? And it's like, they're in, like, everyone's sideboard.
Yeah.
They're
Powerless Dragonoid.
Like, Powerless Dragonoid is like, oh, it counters this, but it also it counters this. And also, in my case, it was like, also, you know how you like to, just for funsies, run Millium 2.0? Well, fuck you. It's like, what? I'm just trying to run a fun deck.
Leave Taylor out of this, okay?
Yeah, I missed out on, like, the back half of that cluster being able to play my Millium deck, and I was very sad. But I didn't even have my Uber Million for that long, my Million 2.0. But yeah, we'll move on to the epic stories before we run out of time here.
Ooh, spicy.
So we're gonna give sort of our ruler combos that we like, and so let us know what you guys think, and also let us know your ruler combos. This isn't necessarily what we think is like, oh, super strong or overpowered that you should play. It's like, this is what at least in my case, this is what I'm having fun with right now, and I really like. But I don't know about like if Joey and stuff is gonna be as, because Joey's like, yeah, I like to have fun. So here's my Reflect Refrain deck. No, guys, I made a different Reflect Refrain deck. It's way different. It's not as oppressive.
I mean, I'll be real. I feel like Epic Stories is, well, I view it the same way I do Commander. I don't actually play Commander, but the way I see it is that it's designed for fun. There isn't really a competitive reward or atmosphere toward being competitive. So as much as you want to win, and you're going to try and win, right? Because especially with like 4 people, the competition's on, right?
Well,
but it's not like you're like, oh, I got to play this meta deck. This is the best ruler combo. Let's always play it. Kind
and
of
that's
thing,
the great thing. Well, real quick, for a second there, you're like, I treat it the same way as Commander. I don't play Commander. I thought that was going to be it.
Well, like, I have people who are like, man, I've got this super competitive Commander deck I'm taking to a tournament. I'm like, you said competitive and Commander in the same sentence. Like,
no, the great thing about Epic Stories is, like, go ahead, do a competitive deck, and go do Epic Stories the way that I think is the best way, which is a 4-person. You know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell everyone to gain up on you. Like Joey, when he was trying to be all cool, and he had the ruler that calls a stone. Or he calls a stone, and then the ruler that searches out a light stone, so he's going 2 stones per turn. So I was like, yeah, guys, you want to just gain up on Joey? And Joey got super mad. It's like, screw you, Joey. You're the one trying to be all competitive here.
Okay, first of all, we had several people who were like, oh, the combos aren't really that strong, guys. Come on. So, whatever.
No, I think you just didn't build the deck right. You just had a bunch of 1 and 2 cost still. What you do is you run all 5+ cost.
That's what
cards.
I had.
No,
you are grossly misremembering things.
Well, the problem with 5 cost cards in Epic Stories is that you got 4 turns before your mana refreshes, so you're just like, I've got this 1/5 cost card, and I've got 3 guys that are going to remove it, and then I need to wait till my turn again. So it doesn't work as good as you'd think. Even
or you could,
like,
I guess you could run a mono deck that's pure counters, and you just point a bunch of stones, and you're just constantly countering. And you just counter it and draw power, and that's it.
Punches you in the face because they hate you, so...
But that's okay because you run Scarlet's Agonies and Miscalcs.
Like, you'll be yelling, be like, guys, I didn't play any cards. They're like, no, you're countering us dead.
Probably the best way to play Epic Stories is like you slide into like second place and like you go just behind the guy who's actually a threat.
You gotta be the unassuming threat.
Yeah, you don't attack anyone. Let everyone fight it out and let them not notice you're still at 8,000 life.
Which is
like I think the one we were playing the other week, one of the guys was playing the Arla combo, and we're all just like, we all don't want to die in one turn, so let's make sure he doesn't kill us.
Real quick,
and then we turn around, and the other guy has the red deck that's burning us all for like 1,200 as like AOE damage, and I'm like, I don't want to kill this guy, but if I don't, I'm just dead by like splash damage. So.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is splash damage, but it's
so crazy with more people. Like
before we get too deep, I realize now, if in case any of you guys are new, Epic Stories is where you make a deck that's 60 cards. You can only run one of each card. You run 2 rulers. The only cards you can run in your deck are colors that are the color identity of those 2 rulers. There's more specific rules that pertain to rune decks and like targeting. If something says 500 damage to target opponent, you choose an opponent. If something says deals 500 damage to your opponent, it deals 500 damage to multiple people, however many opponents you have. It works best in 3 to 4 players, all playing at once. But you can do 2 player as well. It's just not as well designed for that. But you can find the full thing on our website, tcgscrubs.com. It's on the front page, Epic Stories by Frank Klosser, and he sort of goes over it. And there's also a Facebook group about it if you guys want to get more into it. But it's a lot of fun.
It's incredibly fun and wacky, and like the best part is like your deck will always do, like you could probably play it like 10 different times, and every time it'll produce different results and do different things, and like you'll have different cards that you get to play.
There's so many times you just have cards in your deck and like, oh, these work together. I didn't see that, or something like that. Like in that same the red guy, I had Kiara and I had Pricia's Leap, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can cast this, and then I can Pricia's Leap it for 8 attacks, and I can kill this red guy before he beats my face in. So
the best is when you make a deck and you're playing it with a bunch, and then like 8 games later, you're like, oh, I've never seen this card before. That's cool. I forgot I put this in there. Because just
like,
statistically,
I forgot I ran this. I should take this out.
Yeah. But yeah, so go to Joe. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. So I've probably brought this up like once before. I feel like I don't know because I know we've talked about Epic Stories quite a few, and I've probably brought this up before, but. I never actually made the deck, so I'm going to bring it up again. And because we got the elementals, I'm going to bring it up again. So the idea was like, I just wanted to draw a bunch of cards, and I wanted to have, instead of like a 60 card deck, imagine if you had like a 45 card Epic Stories deck. So when you do that is you play Flute, and then you play Glorious? Yeah. And so what you do is you pack your deck with 15 of the inheritance cards, but all the inheritance cards are doing are getting discarded every time you draw them. So you're just like drawing a whole bunch of cards with Flute. Like, so you're calling stones with Glorious, you're tapping Flute to draw more cards, and then every inheritance card you draw, you discard it, and then you draw another card. So the inheritance cards basically act as like a filter for your real 45 card deck, which I don't know what it is. But
see, I'm glad you explained that, because the way you were going into it, I thought you were going to say like, hey, so you run 45 copies of Schrodinger, and you play Scheherazade, and you play 1001 Nights, and you remove every copy of Schrodinger from your deck. So then you only have 15 cards left, and then your deck's OP.
No, this is probably less interesting.
less sacky.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. I believe there's 15 inheritance cards that you can run. I've gone through and counted them all. So you know, you run stuff like you run White Leaf, you run Blue Leaf, you run the little like, what is this, Light Dragon's Egg, Divine Beast of Ataractia, all the inheritance cards that you can fit in. Unfortunately, you miss out on like 3 red inheritance cards and like 1 black one, 2 black ones. But you know, that's fair. But yeah, so that's the idea I'd always had, and I love the idea of like, I just feel like you could get through your deck so fast. I don't know what I wanted to do after.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
well, you also need rulers that would let you play all the different inheritance cards, right? Because, like, for example, you can't play red leaf if you're playing blue and yellow, right?
Exactly.
So like, you need like Avatar of the Wind Magic Stones or something to let you play 5 colors.
Does it not work with the Epic Stories rule of working with Glorious's inheritance abilities?
No,
so she can run all the colors?
No, it's got to be something like it's got to be something that's actually referenced in the card. So, for example, for playing a Dark Alice, you can play the Schrodinger, even though it's Rainbow. It's mentioned on her card specifically, so you're allowed to play it, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, it has inheritance. She involves inheritance. I'm going to throw all these inheritance cards in my deck.
Which I wish it was, and I think I argued with Frank.
It would be way too easy if it was like that. Yeah. I mean, even the fact that they let you do the, like, it's on the cards and you put it in is already, like, way more accommodating than they need it to be, so.
I agree. But yeah, so, unfortunately, yeah, so you can't play Red Leaf, you can't play Black Leaf, you can't play Sprinting Flame Horse, can't play Viola, Bastet, and what is this? Invisible Flame? Yeah. But I feel like I always felt like having Flute in there is like
Invisible Flame the Remnant one?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was so busted in her game. Oh my god.
No, never mind. It's not. Inheritance, it just deals 600 damage to Jade Resonator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, none of the inheritance cards are actually that good. Like, I'm perfectly fine with just
I just had flashbacks to the game with the red guy. He was playing Lumia, so he had the Remnant remove it from the game burn, and he just kept like passing it between his grave and the remove from game to burn everyone. Like, oh my god, why is this happening?
Yeah, those are pretty much my combo that I always wanted to do. And I really like the idea because I just feel like you would draw so many cards off of it.
You just need to think of what ruler you would play with the combo.
Well, I would play Flute and Glorious. But
the only downside is,
I guess you'd also be drawing from the Flute too, is what you were saying,
exactly.
Right?
Like Flute would give you 1 guaranteed draw, and then Glorious would pretty much just be filtering it, like any inheritance cards that you got.
Like gear draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Interesting.
I just need like a good 45 card list.
Yeah, there's a lot of inheritance cards you can just filter through with. It's a shame it's only once per turn though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know why they did that, to prevent that from being like, hey, I'm playing 39 cards that are inheritance, so.
Did you happen to have any combos doing? I know we could just run this up.
I didn't have a deck made because when we don't play it too often. Most of the guys are like, oh, I have to build a 60-card deck. That's so much work with all these one-ups and stuff. But, I mean, we do it every once in a while. Last time, I think I did Blazer and Avatar of the Wind Magic Stones. That's pretty fun. But the one that I want to build is Lumia and Priscia. So the Lumia being the the Legacy of the Lost Lumia, and the RDE Priscia, the Beastmaster. Because the thing is, the stones are what I'd have to consider, because it's hard to get a lot of red magic stones like that actually count as red magic stones. Like, you can run moon ones and stuff, but they won't trigger inheritance, right? But the idea would be that every character would have swiftness, and then the Lumia would flash it, so it'd be pretty busted. And then you have the flip sides of both of them, which are really good. Plus, you'd get green, red, and yellow, which are like the best colors. So
yeah,
it would be pretty awesome. But the closest I did, I think, was I had Lumia was my ruler. I'm just trying to think of the last one I just built. Oh, I think it was Lumia and Hanzo. It was pretty fun.
Oh,
interesting. Yeah, I had them both die in the same game, so it was hilarious.
At least at least there's some type of ruler healing in here, but
there's a lot of really good green, white, and red cards.
Yeah, like that. You got your cancels, like Seal of Wind and Light and stuff. You got access to like really good boss monsters. You got access to lots of burn cards, search cards, damage cards. Like, there's just so much in the card pool you have access to. Like dark is really good too, but you don't necessarily need dark. And as much as I like blue, I don't think there's a whole lot of cards I'd want to play.
There's some really like low key like cards that you've never seen standard or
yeah, absolutely. The
like,
thing that always throws me off is stuff like literally stuff that works for the rulers. Like there's the card that makes all of your stones gain every type for inheritance and stuff. It's like, well, it also lets them make every color, which obviously can't play because then it's every color identity. So
yeah,
I've got caught trying to put that in my deck a few times. The guys are like, no.
You brought up Priesthood Leap too, like
yeah, just a random card that I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna put this in there. Why not?
It's like you would never think that card's like that great because it just never saw play, but then you actually read it and it's like, oh, I actually get to attack like 10 times because I'm on turn 12.
It was great before they banned Law of Silence because you just do it so they couldn't cancel it or respond. They're like, all right, I'm attacking you. You're done.
That's awesome.
But yeah, there was no actual plan for it when I put it in the deck. It just kind of worked out.
All right. Well,
what about you, Colin?
Speaking of how good darkness is, so the two rulers I run, the first one I run is I just built this deck the other week and I was super sad. Sorry for my fan guys. The first one I just built this deck and I haven't been able to play it unfortunately, but as Enforcer of Grudge, which is from Valhalla, and he has a passive ability where
you guys actually play with Valhalla cards?
Yeah.
You guys are hardcore.
Mainly the rulers. The cards are hard to get a hold of, but we got a lot of them that are in a different language. But he has a passive ability where you pay 1 black and tap him, and target player chooses a card in his or her hand and at random and discards it. And so you have him just doing that every turn while you use the other ruler to call a stone. And his judgment is free if you have 4 or more resonators, and when he enters, he destroys 2 resonators. And so I mainly run him obviously for his passive there, and so I run him with Pandora, Girl of the Box. When she judgments, your opponent discards all cards from their hand. And
I love Pandora. She's my first ruler.
It targets all your opponents in Epic Stories, so they all discard their stuff.
Colin, didn't you run a different Pandora and another ruler discard deck, or was this that ruler?
It was no, I ran both of those on a Lackey. It was a very different deck than, well, not very different, but it was a different deck than what I'm currently.
Would Vlad target everyone, or like would Vlad be target player, or does it do everyone?
Vlad. We actually played Vlad. I don't remember how I played him. No. Vlad does target opponent.
Oh no, that'd be dirty.
Yeah, I still had a Vlad deck, and I think it was Vlad and the Green Dragon, and like that still worked a decent amount.
But my current, basically what I did to make the current deck is I grabbed almost every single card in the game that discards cards from your opponent's hand, and they're just in the deck. And then I threw in some. And this time I altered the deck a little bit more from last time, so I actually have some pseudo win cons in it, because last time it was just pure messing with them, and then I was like, I don't know what to do now. I guess I'll swing in with my 400 attack Pandora, but now I actually have like pseudo win cons and some other things in there besides discard, but there's a lot of discard, because they introduced a lot in New Valhalla, which came out after the last time I built the deck, so I built it, I was like, oh, now I'm way over 60 cards.
Seth in your deck. You gotta have Seth in your deck for sure.
Which one? What is Seth?
Seth the Arbiter. It's whenever they discard a card, you draw a card, and whenever a creature dies, the opponent controls, you get one back from your grave to your hand.
What are you talking about?
Oh, she's wait, Pandora's white, right?
She is white, or she's void on the front side, and she's black on the back side, unless it's Pillar of Light, which Colin isn't playing. But
yeah,
the Arbiter is awesome in your deck.
I'm 80% sure I put in there.
Black white.
I created this deck at about 4 in the morning, so I don't have a full memory of what I put in there. So
yeah, when I build Epic Story decks, it's always like, what are good cards that could be in this deck? And like, I'll start with an idea, and then I'll be 20 cards in and be like, all right, now I need 40 more cards. So
yeah, I had the deck built on Lackey, so I was like, before, and I was like, oh, I just gotta look at the Lackey list, and I'll can go build it, and I'll put in the new Valhalla cards. And so I went and looked, and I was like, Oh no, it's on a different computer Black is, so I had to sit there and go
No!
through giant boxes of cards.
Untap Master Race.
So, question: since Pandora Girl of the Box deactivates for a void and a light, or a darkness in a light, does that mean that he can run Seth because Seth is dark and light? Or
I think that's how they said it worked, right? And still has the will attribute on the front.
yeah.
I have to double check.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually looked into this.
Seth is really
I'm pretty sure it does work though, but
Yeah,
I think they said it's only if it's a reminder text that doesn't help. Like for example, barrier black does not make you black identity.
Right.
But I think having an activate cost for your judgment would make you actually that identity. So which makes sense because how would they know which one you're playing, right?
Right, and like
just flip halfway through the game like I'm actually the light one, huh?
Because Gil Alhamat, you can run every color, even though he's technically white and black. So yeah, that's definitely. I'm pretty sure that's definitely how it works.
We'll go ahead and start wrapping this up, though. This actually went a little bit long, but
I think it's pretty well structured. So,
any last thoughts, guys, on the GP or epic stories or anything like that?
Well, I'm just glad there's no pandas, so we can finally put this whole panda thing to rest.
I was looking at Panda Epic Stories a long time ago. I should probably look at that again.
Panda Epic Stories. Oh god, don't bring him into this, Colin. Don't bring Tigers. Tigers doesn't need to be in this.
I remember that it had Panda and the Draft Ruler that had gems. And those.
Yes, Draft Pandas.
If anything, play like Pandas and what's her name? Like,
see, my thing about the Draft Ruler was it's a human, and it's all these cards involve pandas, not gems. So she does support gems, but all the cards support pandas, not gems. Mm-hmm. So she didn't work at all in draft. She has no synergy at all with the rest
true.
of the deck.
I like the new Draft Ruler so much better.
Yeah, they're a lot more fluid than the original Draft Rulers.
Yeah, so that's let us know your guys' thoughts below. Thanks, Dylan, for joining us for this cool, unique discussion. And check us out. We'll be doing the mini podcast here for Patreon, and be sure to check out Happy Little Hug Factory in the description. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you.